Hello and welcome. I'm Ali Mustafa coming to you with a special edition of Strait Talk from Istanbul on the upcoming elections in Turkey. At its closest point, Asia and Europe are separated by just 700 meters, and bridges like this one symbolize Istanbul's ambitions to connect the world. Home to nearly 15 million people, or a fifth of the country, the decisions made here not only have ramifications for Turkey, but for Europe as well. With its politically diverse neighborhoods and a rugged landscape, the city is a microcosm of the country itself. So which direction are Istanbul's nearly 10 million eligible voters leaning? A relaxing evening in one of Istanbul's most liberal neighborhoods. Men and women enjoy a conversation over beer and rakı in Moda. For many here, it's an oasis of freedoms away from Istanbul's many contentions.
I want everyone to be free. I want everyone to express his or her ideas freely. I don't want any fights.
Moda offers a respite for those with liberal leanings during a hotly contested election in which opinions remain divided, and so do priorities.
In this election, I want welfare, peace, and to practice our music freely. We don't want city police to come here and curse at us and try to take away our instruments.
While some here look to escape from the contentious issues elsewhere in Istanbul, others say they are ready to face what may come.
The youth used to be called apolitical, but things changed after Gezi events in 2013. We still don't know how to defend our rights, how to act collectively. We are also under the pressure of the state of emergency, but we hope this will change after the elections.
While Moda in Kadıköy represents somewhat of a secular consensus on Turkey's future, a few kilometers away, a different sentiment prevails. Conservative Fatih offers a sharp contrast to the secular shores of Kadıköy. Fatih has a long history of being a center for religious learning. Its 15th century mosque is still a haven for the faithful escaping injustice elsewhere. Fatih is at the heart of the conservative movement here in Istanbul. In fact, the AK Party has won successive elections here. But this area has also gone through dramatic changes in the past 6 years with the arrival of Syrian entrepreneurs who've set up shop in this area. Mahir escaped Damascus 6 years ago. He says he followed other Syrians to Istanbul's Fatih district because it was considered a safe place for refugees.
Our treatment has been very good, especially from our Turkish neighbors. We thank them very much. They don't owe us anything.
But not everyone is happy with the arrival of the Syrians. Hakan Birkish says Syrians on the one hand have helped his business by driving up prices, but the cost of doing business has also gone up.
When Syrians came here, my shop owner increased the rent from 5,000 to 7,000 lira. When I refused, he forced me out of my shop.
The city of 15 million, with all its diversity, mirrors the debates at the heart of Turkey. Its different shades are reflective of the diversity and tolerance of opinions in these ancient lands. We meet Halil Korkmaz at the top of the tallest structure in Istanbul, Sapphire Tower. The 48-year-old entrepreneur says his success is an example of the possibilities in Istanbul.
Istanbul is metropole, that's why we call it, and a lot of Turkish, a lot of Kurdish, a lot of Arabic origin people, a lot of Balkanian people, and but at the end we are all Turks and Turkish.
A city in transition faced with an uncertain future finds certainty in the political convictions of some of its residents. They're dancing to a different tune in the center of Beşiktaş. It's a celebration of democracy as the activists hope to convert potential voters.
We expect high votes. We are in the field 24 hours.
I'm fighting for rights, human rights and democracy for years.
As the campaign heats up, further in at Beşiktaş Fish Market, Cengiz Çimen is set to take a big step. The 34-year-old is soon to be married, and the pressure is making him giddy.
There are too many dreams. I want peace, better economy, low unemployment in Turkey. Everybody has a dream. Mine is this.
At one of the bars nearby, a casual conversation between friends turns to concerns about the direction of Turkey.
For me, the most important thing is the economic aspect of the country, problems poor segments face. I want improvements on these issues.
I want a more liberal, more just and more democratic Turkey, where we can express our opinions more freely, where we are economically stronger.
A diversity of opinions and lifestyles in Istanbul changes from neighborhood to neighborhood. But certain traditions have survived the bitterness of time. The Ottoman legacy of sweet delicacies thrives in the heart of Kadıköy's main bazaar. At the Şekerci Cefer Erol, where Ottoman delicacies have been produced since the early 1800s. It was started by the great-great-grandfather of Nurtekin Erol. Now in its fourth generation, the Şekerci offers a sweet respite after often sour political debates.
There is a peaceful atmosphere. There is no fight like the elections in the past. Everybody can freely express their ideas, and we are showing a good example of democracy.
A city divided by a narrow strait that has weathered the rise and fall of empires prepares for another chapter, where the past informs the present and the only certainty for the future is the comfort of having seen it all before. For Turks under the age of 30, many can't remember any other leader than the man at the helm right now. To his followers, Erdogan is almost a heroic figure. But who is Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the man? Courtney Keeley takes us back in time to his childhood to find part of the answer.
For the residents of one of Istanbul's roughest districts, loyalty rules above politics, and the bond with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan remains strong and familial. The neighborhood is known for its kabadaya, or tough guys. Some still call him Tayyip Abi, or Big Brother, like Yasser Ayhan, who has cut Erdogan's hair over the years, as he rose through the political ranks from the district chairman, the Welfare Party, to the mayor of Istanbul, to prime minister, to president.
Listening to Erdogan on the TV right now, does it sound like the same person you've known for so long?
Erdogan is on the television screen 24 hours a day, but when I see him face to face, it's so exciting.
Ayhan is 15 years Erdogan's junior. He runs Kardeşler, or the Brothers Barber Shop, family-owned since the 1980s and a mainstay of the neighborhood.
You've known President Erdogan for a long time. You've cut his hair for a long time. What would you say to the critics that say he has too much power now as president after the referendum?
We have never seen anything illegal. I haven't seen anything illegal from him. We are happy that he is strong. We want a strong man, because how can a weak man handle us?
To his followers, Erdogan is known as Kasımpaşalı, or the man from Kasımpaşa, this neighborhood. It's working class and conservative, and it's a characteristic that Erdogan has encouraged because he wants to be seen and known as a man close to the people.
But after nearly 16 years of uninterrupted power, Erdogan's AK Party is being challenged by an opposition that has gained momentum. On the cusp of the most significant presidential and parliamentary elections in a generation, a majority of seats are at stake, and Erdogan's presidency may be vulnerable. If Erdogan doesn't get over 50% of the vote, there will be a runoff on July 8th between the two top candidates. When the AK Party took over, Turkey had high unemployment and rising inflation. The country grew into an emerging market with trade and foreign investment. But this year, the Turkish lira dropped more than 20% against the dollar, and inflation is on the rise. The shaky economy is a key campaign issue, likely to be a decisive factor. But he still has unwavering support from his former neighbors, like 50-year-old Meral Aksener, whose grocery store is across the street from the building where Erdogan and his family lived after he got married. This campaign banner, which reads, "Great Turkey wants a powerful leader," hangs over the floor of his former apartment.
Do you remember when President Erdogan lived across the street when he wasn't president?
Usually, he will stop by my grocery store and he will chat a little before he went to party headquarters.
People say that he has too much power now, that he's no longer a man of the people.
All the words they say are lies. When Erdogan came to power, he distributed everything to the poor. You can ask everybody here. He helps everyone.
Critics say Erdogan and the AK Party have drifted far away from their original ideals, and voters across Turkey have a choice for change. Regardless of the outcome of this historic election, to the people of Kasımpaşa, he will always be family. Courtney Keeley, Strait Talk.
Courtney Keeley reporting there from Istanbul. So we've seen what people on the street are saying, but what does this presidential system mean for the Republic of Turkey? Well, to answer this question, I'm joined by Hakan Hocal, he's a columnist with Daily Sabah and Milliyet newspaper, and by Mert Moral, he's assistant professor at Sabancı University. Thank you so much for being here. Hakan, let's begin with you. Where do you see the country going, opting for a presidential system now?
Now, first we are trying this presidential system, and the first time in our democratic life we are going to vote for president and parliament. It is a first for Turkish people, and we will see if it works, how it works, and then whoever wins the election will see what sort of presidential system we are going to have. In Constitution it's not defined hard and fast, and it is a little bit up to the president to shape his administration. Is it going to be something like parliamentary systems, government procedures, or are we going to have something like United States, a president and his administration totally separated from the parliament? We will understand this in the next coming months.
So nothing is set in stone. There are a lot of questions, unanswered questions of what this might mean. Even if you have an executive presidency, the legislature is still there, and the numbers in the legislature have increased as well, right, Mert?
Yeah, it was 550, now it is 600 after this last referendum on April 16, 2017. The issue is that we don't know yet what sort of a system will emerge from this new sort of elections in Turkey. I mean, we had presidential elections, we have been having parliamentary elections for a long time, and then Turkey is now going to have a big change in terms of its executive. The constitutional change has made, of course, the constitutional referendum has made a lot of constitutional changes, but there has to be some laws that would actually regulate what we will see in the upcoming presidential and parliamentary term.
It's quite interesting how the politicking around this presidential system is shaping up as well. You've got Muharrem Ince on one side. He says that whoever makes it the second round will have a unified, have a HDP, E-Party and the CHP, and Saadet are on one side of the debate, but they're also putting doubt on the longevity of this presidential system as well. If they come to power, they will undo this and revert back to a parliamentary setup.
That's what they say, but in one small, very brief answer to a question, Muharrem Ince actually made clear that he's going to stick with the system for the next 2 years or so. The reason he mentioned in that program was that AK Party made such a harm to the Turkish system and everything. We need at least 2 years with strong presidential powers to restore the system. Well, I'm sure they will enjoy this strong presidential system, strong presidential position, so they will be using it to their own benefit. But frankly, I doubt, even in the second run, this coalition is not going to win. And for me, from my perspective, Erdogan's win is as certain as cast in stone, let me put it this way.
A lot of what has happened in the campaign on all sides has had to do with Erdogan, and a lot of people say that this election is actually a verdict on his performance over the years, especially over the past few years. How do you see it, Mert?
I tend to agree with some journalists arguing that he was more in defense rather than attacking his opponents during this campaign. And to be perfectly honest, I also liked how the other candidates, I mean at least 3 or 4 of them, campaigned by criticizing policies rather than personality. In certain occasions, yes, I mean there was a polarizing rhetoric coming from both sides. However, in most instances, I actually was very happy to see that there were policies that were being debated with regard to, this help for students, help for retirees, financial, aid for, public employees, creating new jobs, creating, industrialization, Industry 4, even regarding the censorship of access to internet. I mean, that was an issue that was discussed, and which resembles me the type of issues that are being discussed in election campaigns in more advanced democracies.
There was this long-held belief wherever Istanbul goes, so does Turkey. But this was proven wrong in the last election cycle, in the referendum, where Istanbul voted 51 or 52 no as opposed to yes. How important is Istanbul?
Oh, this time we decided on that referendum to change or not to change the system. Now, having the system changed, we are going to decide who is going to run the country for the next 5 years. Either as a prime minister or as president, we are electing the leader. Ali Bey, Turks are very much leader-oriented people. In the past, we have 600 long years of sultanate. We had one ruler running everything, and then we had these saviors of the republic, founders of the republic. Again, we had one leader all the time. It was either Mustafa Kemal Atatürk or İsmet İnönü or Menderes. We always had leaders.
Okay, so let's talk about the issues then. You've got an economy which has been struggling a bit with the lira-dollar parity. You've got the Kurdish issue, which remains unsolved, still attacked by the PKK in the southeast. You've got wars in Syria, refugees here in Turkey. What issue will the election be decided on? Let's begin with you, Mert, and I'll come to you, Hakan.
According to the political science literature, there are actually proponents of that line of research arguing that, people in Turkey actually vote with economy in mind. And when it comes to economy, you're right in that. Things are not seeming as good as they used to be, right? However, when it comes to issues like the Kurdish issue, terrorism, Syrian refugees, you name it, I doubt those issues actually play an important role in people's mind when they make their decisions. Why? Because we are living in an era of high and increasing party polarization, as well as electoral polarization. So in party systems like Turkey, US is one example, in terms of the level of partisan polarization. Your partisan attitudes actually come before your issue attitudes, your issue preferences, which means that if you are an AKP voter, you would vote for AKP regardless of the state of the economy. You would vote for CHP regardless of the state of the economy or the chance of CHP making it to the parliament or making it to the government. This is why I tend to believe that people's party partisan attitudes would actually override some of their concerns. But we should draw a line here and say that economy, when it is the most important issue for a lot of people, it should always be taken into consideration that, I mean, some people will vote thinking of their future as well as their past, and their very recent past, last 12 months. I mean, did I lose my job? Do I believe that, I mean, the government will be able to take control of the economy, enact the policies, macroeconomic policies that would actually bring more FDI, create more jobs?
What does the current election campaign tell us about democracy in Turkey? I'll give you the last word, Hakan.
First of all, as a journalist, I would like to see more of it. There is no such thing as too much of democracy. The more the merrier. I mean, I wish Selahattin Demirtas, the chairman of the HDP, was out. Former chairman and now presidential candidate. He should be out. I mean, the Turkish justice system needs a real good makeover. Maybe restructuring, because it was infiltrated by certain religious cults. All in all, we will have very good election, and whoever wins will be legitimate administration of Turkey for the next 5 years, and we hope for the best for the Turkish people.
Hakan Hocal, Mert Moral, thank you so much. Days away from the election, party campaigns are pulling out all the stops. One candidate is taking matters into her own hands. Adil Halim hopped into the passenger seat to see how one AK Party leader plans to cross the finish line.
Today we're in Ümraniye. It's one of the 14 districts that I'm representing. And then, inshallah, now we'll get on the bus and then we will see, we'll take a drive and then go to our first meeting place.
Can you do this quite often?
I like to do it when we have time. I love to drive, so it gives me an opportunity to drive and say hi to the people.
So let's get behind the wheel.
Okay. They're giving me directions. I know my way.
And it's very brave of you, because Istanbul has very bad traffic, and you have to put on a happy face because if you meet potential voters, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, we have crazy traffic in Istanbul.
So we're in the home stretch of the campaign.
Yes.
How are you feeling about your party's chances heading into June 24th?
We are very excited. I see when we're on the field, we're talking to the people, they're happy with the services. But of course, until the election day, you can never tell. Turkey is a place full of surprises, but we're very confident.
Now, you're your party's vice chair of human rights,
yes.
But there are a lot of people critical about whether in the country or internationally, about human rights in Turkey and connecting them. How do you respond to people who have a critical view of human rights in this country?
We have a long way to go. There is no question about that. But many of the allegations or the criticism, some of them rightfully, but some of them unfair criticism, comes related with the situation after the coup attempt.
You're educated abroad. You went to Howard University, which is a historically black college. Tell me what that experience was like.
It was a great experience for me. Of course, my time was during the time it was first days of the second term of President Obama. So there was a lot I could relate to, and I could compare the demands of the black community and demands of AK Party community in Turkey.
Her sister was Turkey's first hijab-wearing deputy and is the country's ambassador to Malaysia. Merve Kavakçı's own road was far from a smooth ride. 2 decades ago, she was kicked out of parliament for wearing a hijab. And even had her citizenship revoked. The Harvard graduate was stonewalled by the deputies of the Democratic Left Party, who chanted, "Get out," preventing her from taking the oath. At the time, Ravza called it a political lynching campaign against her sister.
It was a difficult time for our family and for the people like myself who voted for her.
In the last election, your party, AK Party, and your coalition member, MHP, were below average as far as female representation. How does that change?
That is what we're working on. We have to change it. Right now we have 2 ministers in our cabinet. But I just have a feeling it's going to increase after the 24th. Selamünaleyküm.
On the campaign trail, Kavakçı shakes as many hands as she can, from seniors to students. On the road to re-election. Adil Halim, Strait Talk, Istanbul.
And that's all for this special edition of Strait Talk from Istanbul. If you've got any comments or suggestions, do share them with us on Twitter with the hashtag Strait Talk. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.